Okay, I'm going to start this video. It's going to go real quick. But what I'm pointing out is this tree right here. This is for my neighbors. I'm making this video for neighbors. I live in the Sundance active adult community in Buckeye, but anywhere in Arizona, the Southwest, anywhere, even Northeast. I'll tell you a story later, but this tree right here, I own this house. I bought it 20 years ago. And we're going through the years. This is October 2010. Okay, I tried to keep it trimmed. This is October of 2011. October of 2011. October 2012, right there. This is the tree. And in 13 it's gone. October of 13, it looks like it was gone. That's because around October of 2012, September of October of 2012, we had a hell of a... I'm going to get out of there now. You've seen the tree. And I want to show you what happened, what can happen. This is the ground level. I had been living here 7 years. Okay, I had owned the house for 7 years, but I'd only been living here for about 6. The first year, first 6 months, I didn't live here. But that's the tree. I don't know what it was, what kind of tree it was, but that sucker right there was trying to seduce these tile one night in a strong storm. I believe it was 2012. It might have been October or September of 2012, the monsoon season. I remember because we were at Hibachi Grill or Hitachi Grill there on, I think it's Dysart or Litchfield Road in Goodyear. And we were celebrating. The kids love to go to that grill where the guy throws food in your mouth, flips food in your mouth and puts the fire. It's a big thing. It's where we celebrate a lot of birthdays. So what happened was we got out of there maybe 9, 10 o'clock, and a storm had gone through Buckeye. Well, out there too. We got it out there, but it really hit Buckeye, the winds. And what happened was, let me go through these pictures. I'm stagnating here, but this is what can happen when you have trees close to your house. All right, I had to repair that myself, and because I spent my life working, my career working on ladders, the last 25, 30 years of my career working on ladders, but I went to my insurance company and they told me you have a deductible, so you know, whatever it takes to fix it, you're going to pay for it. And it's probably $1,000 or $1,500. So I said, I still have my youth here. I was about 60, 65. So, and I had just retired, so I took it on, but I had to go out and get tar paper, this kind of wood. A lot of the tiles were broke, so I got that real expensive tile cement. It's about $8 a tube, probably 13 now. This was 10 years ago. But I put it all back together like a jigsaw puzzle from a ladder. Okay? And what I'm suggesting to my friends, anybody that's a senior, anybody that invests in one of these planned communities out here where you've got a cookie cutter house, okay? You're more or less a storefront. You can't do anything to it, to the outside. You know, whatever landscaping plan you started with, you have to stay with it. Well, part of the landscaping plan, and I had nothing to do with it, was where that tree was planted. That was done by the landscapers. And I'm trying to get people to imagine. Try to imagine if you have a tree between you and your neighbor's house, and you and your neighbors are 10 feet away, and it's a pretty good sized tree, and it's not being cut, this is what can happen. It happened to me. Okay? Thank God I had the skills, the knowledge, and the physical ability to go and stand on a ladder. It isn't fun all day being up on a ladder, up and down, carrying tools and things like that. But the roof got back together. I was able to fix it. Took about 3 or 4 days. But please, please, let me suggest to you, if you have a tree by your house, and I'm going to tell you a quick story. My dad grew up farming, okay, and working hard all his life during the Depression. Let's see, I think he was 19 when 1929 when the stock market crashed. He was 19. So as a kid in his teen years, he was in the Roaring '20s. He saw the Roaring '20s in New York during his teen years, and when he was 19, the market crashed. So for about 9 years, until 1938, and when he got hired in the mines, and they hired him because the war was coming. Everybody knew there was going to be a war, so the mines that had some of the richest ore in the country and the world, where I grew up, started putting out feelers, and they were hiring men all over the North Country. And that's how my father got started there. But he didn't like trees around houses. And I know we used to get microbursts up in New York where it would pull a maple tree right out of the ground. Yank it out of the ground like it's a weed and lay it over onto the house. And he saw that growing up. And we lived in a duplex, and we had the smaller side of a duplex because we were a smaller family, but there was another family on the other side of this big old house. It was a 100-year-old house, farmhouse, and they just put a wall right down the middle, petitioned it. And the other family got the bigger half because they were a bigger family, but on their half, on their side of the house, right off the porch, was this huge maple tree. It was probably 2.5, 3 feet in diameter. And it just, I hated to see it go. At 7 years old, he bought the house. He had to write a first refusal, and he had the cash. The other man didn't. So, and it was happening all over town. The company had depreciated the houses to the point where they just more or less said, if you live in there, here's the price for it. You get right of first refusal. So my dad bought it. I was 7 years old. So at 7 years old, 68 years ago, the first thing I watched him do with another man, this big long saw, 4 feet long, 3 saw, yanking it back and forth. He gave me the job of putting oil on it to keep it cool and make it lube, but they had wedges and everything else. It was an all-day project to bring that, because they used wedges to keep from pinching the blade. They'd go a little bit, drive the wedge, and it took a long time to get that tree down. But when it came down, he was happy. And that was his thing. He didn't like trees around houses, and now I know why. Please, use your imagination. Please, be careful, or please keep them trimmed. keep them trimmed. That storm we had was 12 years ago. I've seen a few, very few, but that one I remember. I remember that, and I think that's the storm that on the way to Gila Bend that took down a whole bunch of telephone poles, right? So please, be stewards of your roof. Husband your roof. Think about your roof. And when you see that tree blowing in the wind, just imagine like a microburst and see what happens. But this is what can happen. There was a lot of broken tile. I had to use expensive cement. But I like to parley-vous. I get long-winded. This was therapy for me to share this. But please, learn from my experience. Fortunately, physically I could do it, and I had to know how to do it. But you don't want to come out of the house in the morning and see this. If you're a senior citizen, you're retired, you're thinking about going and playing golf that morning, and you come out and you see this, whew. And a lot of these planned communities, it's mandatory you have a tree. I don't like it myself. And I know in other areas of the country, same thing happens in planned communities. I witnessed it once. I went to visit a friend who was in a 30-year-old planned community, all big backyards with big trees in the back, and they had a storm like this go through, and the same thing happened. And I've seen trees, like I said, I lived in Marblehead, Massachusetts, and I saw a tree get ripped out of the ground one day. Just ripped out of the ground, this big, old, huge tree, maybe 45, 50 feet high, just all leafed out. In August or September, that's when the big storms, that's the hurricane season. Well, this blow came through and ripped that tree out of the ground like it was a weed. So, please, be careful with trees around houses. I'll say goodnight. Thank you for watching.